Every Harley rider believes their bike will hold value, but 2025 proves otherwise. Models once seen as icons now sit unwanted in showrooms and garages, their resale values sinking fast. Harley's blend of tradition and muscle hasn't kept pace with modern expectations for comfort, range, and technology. Some bikes that once symbolized rebellion or luxury are now dirt cheap. Don't miss the final entry in this countdown. It delivers the harshest reality check of all, and it might be parked in your garage today. Number 7. Harley-Davidson Street, Bob 114. Strip a Harley down to its bare bones, and you get a machine that once symbolized pure rebellion. Yet in 2025, the stripped-down dream feels more like unfinished business. It promised no frills, no gimmicks, and no unnecessary bulk. But by the year 2025, the same qualities that once drew riders in have left it stranded in showrooms and gathering dust in garages. The stripped frame and minimalist look now feel like missed opportunities rather than selling points. Riders searching for a practical everyday machine find themselves disappointed with how dated and limited this model feels. When the Street Bob was refreshed with the 114 engine, Harley promoted it as a bold upgrade. On paper, the power was certainly there. It produces 100 horsepower paired with the kind of torque that longtime Harley fans expect. That torque comes in at 119 pound-feet, and for short rides around town, it delivers an unmistakable shove forward. At its core, the engine measures 1,868 cubic centimeters. Riders who remember the older 883 and 1200 Sportsters found the jump in displacement impressive. Yet, despite its size, the motor has not kept younger or more practical buyers interested. The big twin appeal has limits when daily comfort is missing. Suspension is handled by a dual bending valve setup in the front and coil-over rear shocks. While adequate for casual cruising, the ride feels stiff on rough pavement. Weight comes in at 655 pounds wet, which makes maneuvering at slow speeds cumbersome for new riders who expected something lighter. Braking performance comes through a pair of disc brakes supported by an anti-lock braking system. Though dependable, the system lacks the refinement riders now experience on other cruisers in the same price category. Stopping power is predictable, but far from confidence-inspiring. The seating position is set at 25.8 inches. While the low saddle height makes it approachable, the stretched-out mid-controls and lean-forward stance cause discomfort on longer rides. Riders in their 50s or 60s who once loved the aggressive style now find themselves reaching for something more forgiving. When it was first offered with the larger engine, the starting price was set at $15,000. Many buyers saw that as a gateway into the big twin family without the premium of larger touring bikes. Yet, over time, that starting price did not reflect the overall experience, and resale values have suffered. The Street Bob was once a symbol of youthful rebellion in the Harley stable, but the market in 2025 has left it behind. Riders looking for range, comfort, and features find little to appreciate here. The stripped-down nature that once made it attractive now makes it feel incomplete. From stripped-down tradition to bold experimentation, the following motorcycle shows how Harley's leap into unfamiliar territory failed to land on solid ground. If this countdown has opened your eyes to how fast Harley values can fall, hit that like button and share your thoughts in the comments. Tell me if you've owned one of these bikes or if another model should have made the list. Number 6. Harley-Davidson Pan America 1250 Standard. Breaking into the adventure world was supposed to rewrite Harley's future. Instead, that gamble has left behind a motorcycle that never found solid footing. The Pan America carried bold styling and the promise of carving out a new lane for the company. At first, it seemed like a declaration that Harley could compete with the likes of BMW and KTM. By the year 2025, however, that promise has faded, and this motorcycle sits on showroom floors with little interest from either traditional riders or adventure enthusiasts. Underneath its tall stance, the Pan America is powered by the Revolution Max engine producing 150 horsepower. That number placed it directly in the fight with long-proven European contenders, giving Harley fans a taste of raw power in an unfamiliar package. Yet horsepower alone could not keep it at the front of the pack. The engine measures 1,250 cubic centimeters, and it produces 94 pound-feet of torque. On highways, that torque felt responsive, but in real off-road conditions, the delivery was less predictable. Riders who wanted consistent low-end punch for climbing or technical sections often felt disappointed. The suspension system uses electronically adjustable front and rear Showa components with semi-active damping. While impressive on paper, owners reported that the system often felt stiff or glitchy, requiring frequent adjustments that distracted from the ride. The bike's wet weight of 562 pounds only made those handling issues more noticeable when trails grew rough. Braking comes through dual 4-piston monoblock front calipers paired with a single-piston rear caliper. The setup is supported by a cornering-enhanced anti-lock braking system. Braking performance was adequate, but the lack of refinement compared to long-established rivals left some riders questioning the value of such a premium adventure bike. The seat height begins at 31.1 inches and can be adjusted electronically. While adjustability offered some flexibility, shorter riders still found the height intimidating, especially when combined with the overall mass of the machine. A tall and heavy motorcycle simply limited the audience that felt comfortable putting miles on it. At its launch, the Pan America carried a starting price of $17,319. That cost positioned it in line with serious competitors, but without Harley's global support network for adventure touring, many buyers considered the risk too high. Service and parts availability became a problem in markets where dealerships were unprepared for a completely different category of motorcycle. By 2025, the Pan America represents a cautionary tale of ambition outpacing reality. Harley attempted to break into a demanding segment with a machine that had strong numbers on paper, but lacked the trust and long-term reliability riders need. For adventure touring, confidence in the machine is everything, and when that confidence slips, resale value and rider loyalty fade quickly. Leaving behind the adventure trails, the spotlight turns to a once iconic bobber that proves timeless style alone cannot shield a bike from fading relevance. Before we hit the next one, check the links in the description for my updated 2025 picks on helmets, jackets, gloves, and riding accessories. Number 5. Harley-Davidson 48. A slammed stance, a peanut tank, and old-school attitude gave this bike instant showroom appeal. But what once looked iconic now feels impractical and dated. The 48, with its classic peanut tank and low-slung stance, promised a machine that captured the spirit of custom culture right out of the crate. But by the year 2025, this motorcycle has shifted from a symbol of attitude to a reminder that nostalgia alone cannot protect a bike from obsolescence. The 48 delivers 60 horsepower from an air-cooled V-twin engine. The numbers sound respectable for a machine of its size, but on the road, the performance feels underwhelming compared to modern competition. Riders expecting long-haul strength quickly discover this bike works best only for short stints around town. Displacement for the motor measures 1,202 cubic centimeters. That size once impressed buyers seeking an upgrade from smaller Harleys, but today, many riders demand more advanced performance and efficiency. The motor still offers character, but against the backdrop of modern standards, it falls short in ways that affect both usability and desirability. Torque peaks at 73 pound-feet. It is enough to make the bike lively at stoplights and through short runs, but the delivery lacks the depth and flexibility that riders demand when covering long stretches of highway. The torque comes in strong but quickly feels limited once the bike is asked to perform beyond its urban comfort zone. The braking setup includes a single front disc and a single rear disc supported by an optional anti-lock braking system. While functional for casual rides, this arrangement feels outdated when compared to other motorcycles offering more advanced and responsive stopping power. The 48 can be controlled, but in challenging conditions, its braking system shows its limitations. Suspension is managed by a 49mm cartridge-style fork in the front and adjustable coilover shocks in the rear. The travel is short and unforgiving, which adds to the bike's hard-edged image but punishes riders who expect any measure of comfort. Long-distance trips quickly expose the shortcomings, and even shorter rides on uneven pavement leave the rider sore. The motorcycle carries a wet weight of 552 pounds. While manageable, the weight becomes noticeable when paired with the minimal fuel capacity of the peanut tank. The limited range makes every ride a calculation about the next gas station. And for many riders in 2025, that is simply too inconvenient to overlook. Seat height is set at 28 inches, making it accessible to a wide range of riders. The position, however, forces the body into a stretched posture with forward controls that feel dramatic at first, but eventually strain the back and hips. For older riders, comfort suffers, and the appeal of the style begins to fade. When new, the 48 carried a starting price of $11,000. At the time, that placed it within reach of many enthusiasts who wanted the look of a custom bike without the cost of a build. Today, that price no longer feels justified when the motorcycle offers so little in modern features, comfort, or versatility. The 48 now stands as a lesson that styling alone cannot keep a bike relevant. It was once a proud entry in Harley's lineup, but in the current market, it struggles to hold its ground against motorcycles that deliver both presence and practicality. After watching a classic bobber lose its edge, the focus shifts to a modern reinvention that promised everything yet left riders divided. Number 4. Harley-Davidson Sportster S. Few names in Harley's history carry the weight of the Sportster. That legacy was meant to be reborn here, but instead it split the audience right down the middle. After decades of air-cooled simplicity, the company presented a modern cruiser designed to carry the historic name into the future. Expectations were high, but by the year 2025, the excitement has faded. Many riders now see the Sportster S as a machine caught between identities, struggling to satisfy either longtime loyalists or younger enthusiasts. The motorcycle is driven by the Revolution Max 1250 cubic centimeter engine that delivers 121 horsepower. On paper, this figure set the stage for a middleweight cruiser that could stand toe-to-toe with competitors. Yet the raw number only tells part of the story, and the riding experience left many feeling unsatisfied. Torque output is measured at 94 pound-feet. The surge is quick, aggressive, and suitable for blasting away from a stoplight. But in real-world conditions, that same delivery feels abrupt and inconsistent. For riders accustomed to smooth, rolling waves of power from older V-twins, this sharper response created a disconnect. The suspension is handled by a low-mounted Showa inverted front fork paired with a rear monoshock that offers preload adjustment. Combined with the motorcycle's shorter travel, the ride becomes punishing on rough pavement. Even casual highway trips can feel stiff, which undermines its value as a versatile everyday machine. Braking is provided by a single front disc with a 4-piston radial-mounted caliper and a 2-piston rear caliper, supported by an advanced anti-lock braking system. While the technology is an upgrade from older models, many riders felt the single front disc lacked the stopping confidence expected for a motorcycle carrying this level of performance. The motorcycle has a wet weight of 502 pounds. That number makes it lighter than many other Harleys, and it should have given it more agility. Instead, riders often describe its handling as twitchy, with fat tires and compact dimensions creating more discomfort than stability. Seat height is measured at 29.6 inches. While accessible for many, the combination of low handlebars and foot placement puts riders into a forward-leaning posture. Over longer distances, this posture contributes to fatigue, particularly for older riders who expected a more relaxed riding position. At launch, the Sportster S carried a starting price of $14,999. Positioned as an affordable yet advanced option, it was meant to attract a broad base of buyers. Over time, however, depreciation has undercut that value, and the motorcycle is now seen as an experiment that struggled to find its place. By 2025, the Sportster S stands as a symbol of how difficult it is to balance modern engineering with traditional heritage. Harley tried to design a motorcycle that would appeal to both markets at once, but in doing so created one that feels like it belongs to neither. From a futuristic gamble to an entry-level attempt, Harley's strategy with the following bike highlights how easily ambition can outpace execution. Number 3. Harley-Davidson Street Rod 750. Designed as a gateway for city riders, this compact machine promised agility and attitude. What it delivered instead was a motorcycle few riders kept for long. The strategy was to take the existing street platform, tighten it up, and deliver a sportier ride that might compete with imported middleweights. On the surface, it looked like a reasonable plan, but by the year 2025, the motorcycle is almost forgotten. Riders who once considered it an entry into the Harley family are now avoiding it altogether. The Street Rod is powered by a liquid-cooled engine producing 70 horsepower. For a smaller Harley, that number was higher than most expected at launch. It created enough pull for around-town rides, but on longer highways or twisty roads, the engine never felt inspiring. Many riders quickly discovered that the power band lacked the character of larger V-twins. Displacement for this motor is 749 cubic centimeters. The size places it firmly in the middleweight class, but it never quite found its footing against motorcycles from Japan or Europe in the same category. Harley's reputation rests on torque-heavy engines, yet this bike only managed 47 pound-feet of torque. For riders used to the traditional thump of a Harley, that figure simply felt underwhelming. The braking package includes dual front discs and a rear disc, each paired with dual piston calipers. An anti-lock braking system was available, which gave the bike a measure of security. On the road, braking was steady, but compared to motorcycles of similar weight and power, the setup lacked the sharp bite and immediate confidence demanded by performance-oriented riders. The suspension consists of 43mm inverted front forks and dual rear shocks with piggyback reservoirs. These were designed to sharpen the handling and allow greater lean angles. In practice, the stiff ride combined with the awkward ergonomics often left riders sore after modest trips. Despite the upgrades, the experience was far from what Harley hoped it would deliver. The wet weight is 516 pounds. That makes the motorcycle manageable for new riders, but the tall seat height of 29.8 inches created problems. Shorter riders often struggled with balance at stops, and larger riders felt cramped by the narrow cockpit. The riding triangle simply did not suit most of Harley's typical customers. When introduced, the Street Rod carried a starting price of $8,699. That number was competitive against smaller displacement rivals. But over time, buyers realized they could spend only slightly more to secure a larger and more traditional Harley. As resale values slipped, many of these motorcycles began to pile up in used inventories with little attention from buyers. By 2025, the Street Rod serves as a reminder that not every attempt to capture new riders will succeed. It carried the Harley badge, but it lacked the essence of what older American riders demand: torque-rich pull, comfortable ergonomics, and timeless character. Moving away from a struggling city-focused design, the attention turns toward a touring heavyweight that was meant to thrill, but stumbled under its own bulk. You've seen how even iconic Harleys can lose value in ways nobody expected. If you don't want to miss future breakdowns that could protect your wallet and your ride, make sure you subscribe right now. Join a community of riders who refuse to get caught off guard again. Number 2. Harley-Davidson Street Glide ST. In the world of baggers, Harley tried to fuse muscle with touring tradition. The result was a machine that struggled to satisfy either side. When the Street Glide Saint was introduced, it carried the promise of blending touring confidence with a sharper edge. Riders were told it would be the perfect combination of muscle and tradition, a bike that could eat miles and still thrill on back roads. Yet by the year 2025, that image has unraveled. The motorcycle now struggles to hold appeal with either the loyal touring crowd or the younger riders Harley hoped to attract. Power comes from the Milwaukee 8 117 engine, which produces 106 horsepower. This figure should have been enough to command attention in the performance bagger segment. On paper, the engine brought both strength and speed, but on the open road, many riders found that it lacked the refinement needed for real-world touring comfort. The engine displaces 1,923 cubic centimeters. The torque figure stands at 127 pound-feet, which does give the bike a serious punch in straight-line acceleration. The problem comes not in raw numbers, but in how the weight and ergonomics blunt the excitement once the first rush of acceleration fades. Suspension is handled by Showa dual bending valve forks in the front paired with rear emulsion shocks. While designed to balance comfort and control, The setup often feels stiff in town and unyielding on rougher pavement. Riders moving from older touring bikes sometimes felt that the balance was off, neither fully committed to performance nor tuned for extended comfort. Braking is delivered through dual 4-piston calipers at the front and a single 4-piston caliper at the rear, paired with an anti-lock braking system. Stopping power is strong enough for casual riding, but under emergency braking, the feedback has been described as vague. For a motorcycle in this class, the lack of sharpness raised questions about its true performance credentials. Wet weight comes in at 827 pounds. That figure makes low-speed maneuvering heavy and awkward, and it quickly drains confidence for less experienced riders. The touring segment has always been weighty, but when a bike aims to court performance-minded buyers, such bulk becomes a critical weakness. Seat height is measured at 26.7 inches. It is approachable for most riders, but the trade-off is a posture that feels cramped during long days on the highway. Comfort is further affected by the wind protection, which many found insufficient compared to the fixed fairing Road Glide. When it first appeared, the starting price was $31,999. That placed it firmly in the premium touring market, where expectations are high. But within just a few years, depreciation and shifting tastes have left the Street Glide Saint with little momentum. By 2025, the Street Glide Saint has become a motorcycle caught between two worlds. It is too stripped down for loyal touring riders, and too heavy and traditional for the new generation of performance enthusiasts. After examining a bagger caught between two worlds, it is time to confront the crown jewel of Harley's lineup, one that now bears the heaviest fall of them all. Number 1. Harley-Davidson CVO Road Glide. Luxury, chrome, and commanding size once made this the crown jewel of Harley's lineup. Today, it sits heavy not just on the scales, but on the wallets of those who own it. It was designed to be the ultimate in luxury touring, a motorcycle that represented craftsmanship, comfort, and power at the highest level. Riders who purchased this machine believed they were buying the pinnacle of Harley engineering. By the year 2025, however, the prestige has faded, and the CVO Road Glide now sits as one of the most punishing motorcycles in terms of resale value and practicality. The CVO Road Glide is powered by the Milwaukee 8 117 engine, a large displacement V-twin producing 105 horsepower. That number positioned it firmly as a heavyweight contender in the touring category. Yet even with this power, the realities of long-distance ownership have proven more complex than riders expected. The motor displaces 1,920 cubic centimeters. Torque is measured at 126 pound-feet, giving the motorcycle a commanding surge of strength at highway speeds. On paper, it looks like an ideal combination of force and endurance, but in practice, the size and weight of the machine dilute the thrill that riders seek from such impressive figures. The suspension system consists of Showa dual-bending valve front forks, paired with hand-adjustable rear suspension. Designed to balance comfort with control, the setup works smoothly on clean pavement, but quickly reveals its limits on rougher roads. For a motorcycle priced at the very top of Harley's lineup, many expected more from the overall ride quality. Braking is managed by reflex-linked Brembo calipers with a cornering-enhanced anti-lock braking system. These high-end components bring safety and predictability, but they also add complexity and cost when service is needed. Older riders who once valued simplicity now face the reality of an expensive and technology-heavy machine. The wet weight of the CVO Road Glide is 975 pounds. Such a figure makes it one of the heaviest motorcycles in Harley's stable. Maneuvering it at low speeds can be exhausting, and even with its highway stability, the sheer mass takes away from the feeling of control that many riders desire. Seat height measures 29.9 inches, placing it within reach for most, but the wide frame and heavy balance create challenges during stops and starts. What appears manageable on paper often feels daunting in real-world conditions, especially for riders who are no longer interested in wrestling with such a massive machine. The starting price of this motorcycle was set at $54,900. This cost reflected the full package of features, including Harley's infotainment system, touring luggage, custom finishes, and luxury details. Yet the market in 2025 shows a much harsher reality, with depreciation leaving owners questioning whether the investment was ever worthwhile. The CVO Road Glide once represented the very best that Harley had to offer. Today it serves as a lesson in how complexity, weight, and shifting rider priorities can strip away value from even the most celebrated models. It stands at the top of this list not as a trophy of Harley heritage, but as a reminder that bigger and more expensive does not always mean better. Every rider dreams that their Harley will stand the test of time, but 2025 has shown that even the most trusted models can stumble hard. Value fades, reputations crack, and owners are left carrying the burden. The truth is, loyalty alone cannot protect your wallet or your garage. By staying informed, you can ride smarter, buy wiser, and hold on to what matters most. If this breakdown saved you from making the wrong choice, share it with a fellow rider. Together, we keep the road honest and the legend of Harley worth protecting.